You thought showing care would bring her closer. Instead, she drifted away, quietly, almost like she was allergic to your affection. When a man first meets a woman, his body floods with dopamine, the molecule of pursuit. Every unanswered text, every mixed signal, every moment of uncertainty becomes fuel. It's intoxicating, not because of what he gets, but because of what he might get next. This same neurochemical dance happens for her too. But here's the cruel twist. Once certainty replaces mystery, dopamine falls silent. We mistake love for stability. Biology mistakes it for boredom. Attraction, in its raw form, isn't built on peace. It's built on tension, on the edge between hope and doubt, between wanting and having. When you reveal your feelings too soon, when you show care without friction, her nervous system registers it not as romance, but as closure. And closure, biologically speaking, is the death of pursuit. The dopamine paradox. Desire thrives on the unknown. It's the same reason cliffhangers keep us watching, why gambling feels addictive, and why the first phase of love feels electric. Each uncertain response, each ambiguous moment, spikes the reward system. Once you say, "I'm yours," you hand her brain a conclusion. The movie ends, the chase dies, and the emotional chemistry shifts from dopamine, desire, to oxytocin, bonding. But here's the trap. Most modern relationships never learn to balance both. We try to turn passion into peace, and then wonder why peace feels cold. A story, The Safe Man. There's a man who did everything right. He listened. He cared. He texted back within minutes. He became her emotional safe haven. And slowly, she began to pull back. Not because she stopped liking him, but because her mind, wired for stimulus, unpredictability, and tension, felt too safe to stay awake. What began as comfort ended as numbness. She couldn't explain it. She just said, "I don't feel the spark anymore." Desire loves uncertainty. Comfort kills the chase. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If uncertainty fuels attraction, does that mean we must manipulate it? Or is there a way to honor both chemistry and sincerity without playing games? Because when care kills mystery, the question becomes, how can we care without becoming predictable? That's where the story deepens. You finally made her feel safe. But safety, in the wrong nervous system, feels like a trap. When she starts to pull away, it's easy to think you did something wrong. That you weren't interesting enough, masculine enough, mysterious enough. But often, what's really happening isn't about you at all. It's about what her body remembers, not what her mind wants. Because attraction isn't just psychological. It's biological memory, written in the nervous system long before she met you. The attachment code. Every person carries an attachment imprint. For some, love equals peace. For others, love equals threat. The securely attached crave closeness and give it easily. The anxious cling, fearing abandonment. The avoidant crave freedom, fearing engulfment. And when an avoidant woman, one used to chaos, self-reliance, or emotional distance, meets a man who truly cares, something strange happens inside her. His warmth feels good, but too good. Too close. Too revealing. Her subconscious whispers, "If I need him, I could lose him." So before you can ever leave, she leaves first. The push-pull paradox. The anxious chases what the avoidant flees. The more you give, the more she feels cornered. Your care becomes pressure. Your consistency, control. This is how she protects her autonomy, by retreating. Not because she stopped feeling, but because feeling too much scares her. In modern dating, this dynamic repeats endlessly. Two attachment systems colliding like mismatched magnets. The more one leans in, the more the other pulls back, until the space between them becomes unbearable. A story. The empath and the runner. He was the calm she never had. Patient, open, emotionally fluent. She said he was different. She told her friends, "I finally feel safe." But as he began to truly care, calling more, planning their future, she began to feel that strange tension again. Not passion, not excitement, just heaviness. One day, she said she needed space. He thought he'd done too much. In truth, he'd done exactly what she always claimed she wanted. But her nervous system couldn't tolerate the calm, because calm felt unfamiliar, and the unfamiliar feels unsafe, even when it's good. The psychology behind the retreat. Our attachment patterns don't seek happiness, they seek familiarity. That's why a woman raised in emotional chaos may subconsciously recreate it, even inside stability. Her body's language is contradiction. I want closeness, she says, but her nervous system screams, danger. So she runs. And the man, confused and heartbroken, blames himself, when in truth, he simply triggered an old program. Not all safety is seductive. But once you see this pattern, you hold a kind of power. Not the power to manipulate, but the power to choose how you respond. Because if security lowers arousal, maybe attraction isn't about being safe. It's about learning when to step back. In the next chapter, we'll explore exactly that. How the art of strategic absence reignites the very tension that keeps desire alive. When you stop chasing, she starts wondering. When you disappear, she starts feeling again. Absence, not presence, is what makes the heart remember. There's a moment in every relationship where giving more stops working. You call. She answers slowly. You text. She replies with a one-word message. You open your heart wider and feel it echo in the silence. It's a painful truth. Attention, when given freely and constantly, loses its psychological value. Humans don't crave what's abundant. We crave what's scarce. The science of the slot machine. In psychology, it's called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same principle that keeps gamblers glued to slot machines. Not knowing when the reward will come makes the anticipation addictive. When a woman doesn't know when your attention is coming next, her dopamine system stays alive. Every message becomes a maybe. Every silence becomes a story. But when your attention is guaranteed, when she can predict every reply, every compliment, every check-in, the brain stops paying attention. Certainty kills curiosity. Predictability numbs desire. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding emotional economy. The truth that what you withhold intentionally gains value. The emotional economy. Think of desire as a marketplace. If your time, energy, and affection are constantly available, they become cheap, like currency printed without restraint. But when you give with discernment, when your presence feels earned, it becomes rare. Scarcity signals value, and value awakens respect. That's why emotionally powerful men don't chase. They create gravity through purpose, discipline, and self-control. Their absence isn't a tactic. It's a byproduct of a full life. When she senses that you are not waiting for her attention, her biology does something remarkable. It starts working to earn it again. A story, The Vanishing Point. He stopped texting first. Not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of peace. He redirected his focus back to his craft, his goals, his world. At first, she felt relief. No more pressure, no more constant closeness. Then came curiosity, then the questions, then the dreams about him. Weeks later, she reached out with a simple message. Hey, stranger. It wasn't about missing him specifically. It was about missing the feeling of pursuit. The space he left behind created emotional gravity. He didn't punish her with silence. He rewarded himself with presence. And in doing so, he became valuable again. Scarcity magnifies value. Presence can normalize and neutralize. But there's a fine line between healthy absence and emotional neglect. One builds desire, the other builds resentment. The difference lies in intention. Absence must come from strength, not spite. So how do you balance care with distance? Warmth with unpredictability, without becoming cold or manipulative? To understand that, we must explore something deeper. How your kindness, your empathy, your care can sometimes become the mirror that scares her most. Sometimes, when you show her love, she doesn't see affection. She sees a reflection, and what she sees in that reflection terrifies her. There's a moment when your kindness starts to make her uneasy. You're not doing anything wrong. You're listening, being patient, being present. But her eyes change. She becomes distant. Something about your care has triggered something ancient. Not in her mind, but in her shadow. Carl Jung called it the shadow self, the collection of everything we deny, repress, or run from. When someone truly sees us, they don't just see our light. They see our darkness, too. And for many people, being cared for feels like exposure. The mirror effect. When you love someone deeply, you become their mirror. You reflect back not just who they are, but who they fear they might be. If she carries unhealed wounds, shame, distrust, abandonment, your genuine care can shine a light directly on those cracks. And that's unbearable, because suddenly she feels seen. Not the version she performs, but the one she hides. To a psyche not ready to confront its own reflection, intimacy feels like danger. So she pulls away, not from you, but from herself. A story. The man who loved her too deeply. He met her where she was fragile. He didn't demand. He didn't dominate. He simply understood. For the first time, she felt emotionally naked, seen without pretense. But soon, she began to pick fights. Criticize him for being too nice. Accuse him of trying to fix her. He was confused. All he did was love her gently. But his gentleness made her confront something she had avoided for years. Her own lack of self-love. His acceptance revealed her self-rejection. And that kind of mirror can burn. One night, she ended it with a line that haunts kind men forever. You deserve someone better. But what she meant was, I can't face myself through you. The psychology behind the withdrawal. In projection, we assign our disowned traits to others. The more caring you are, the more she projects her fear of dependence. The more stable you are, the more she feels her own instability. Your love, in her nervous system, becomes confrontation. This is why some people feel safest with those who don't truly see them. Because distance preserves illusion, and illusion feels safe. When you love with depth, you threaten that illusion. You awaken the shadow, the part that whispers, I don't deserve this. I can't trust this. This will end like all the others. So she leaves, not to find someone better, but to return to the emotional temperature she can survive in. Your kindness can be an interrogation she's not ready to face. This is why attraction is only half the battle. The other half is tolerance for intimacy. To love deeply is to trigger deeply. And if she hasn't made peace with her own reflection, no amount of reassurance will make her stay. But not all is lost, because there's a way to maintain desire without betraying depth, a way to be emotionally connected and magnetically charged. That balance lives in a force older than psychology itself. The eternal dance between masculine and feminine energy. She doesn't crave more emotion. She craves direction. And when a man confuses availability with presence, he kills the very tension that makes her feel alive. There's a strange irony in modern love. Men are told to open up, to communicate more, to be emotionally available. And yet, the more a man gives emotionally, the more attraction seems to fade. Why? Because emotional availability without polarity feels like friendship. And friendship doesn't seduce the feminine, it soothes it. Attraction isn't built on equality. It's built on tension. The magnetic pull between two opposing forces, presence and flow, direction and surrender, stability and chaos. Masculine energy, the still point in the storm. Masculine energy, in its healthiest form, is not domination nor emotional detachment. It's groundedness. It's being the unmoved observer in a world of motion. When a man radiates presence, he doesn't chase. He doesn't beg for connection. He holds his center, his purpose, his silence, his direction. And in doing so, he creates the space for the feminine to feel. Because the feminine, chaotic, emotional, expressive, needs something stable to flow around. Without that polarity, energy collapses. Two emotional beings clinging to each other don't create desire. They create dependency. A story. The man who lost the fire. He loved her deeply, listened to every word, shared his emotions openly, vulnerably, constantly. He was the perfect communicator. But slowly, she stopped reaching for him, stopped testing him, stopped admiring him. He didn't realize that in trying to meet her emotionally, he had left his post. He had stepped off his center to dwell in hers. And when a man leaves his center, polarity dissolves. One night she said, "You're too nice." But what she meant was, "You've become predictable. You no longer lead the dance." Masculine presence versus emotional overexposure. Masculine presence doesn't mean silence. It means containment. It's the ability to feel deeply without spilling everywhere. To remain calm while she feels everything. To stay grounded while she spirals. That steadiness doesn't suppress emotion. It channels it. It signals safety without surrendering mystery. And that balance reignites the magnetic field of attraction. When a man stands in that stillness, she unconsciously relaxes. Not because he told her to, but because his energy tells her, "You can be wild, I won't break." Philosophy of polarity. Nietzsche once wrote, "Love is the state in which man sees things most distinctly, except the object of love." Polarity is clarity. It's not about dominance, it's about direction. When a man has purpose, his care has weight. When he has boundaries, his compassion has gravity. Without that gravity, love floats, beautiful but untethered. Presence anchors passion to respect. Presence without surrender keeps the flame alive. So what does this look like in real life? It means holding silence when she tests you. Not to punish, but to remain unshaken. It means speaking from conviction instead of insecurity. It means caring, but not collapsing. Polarity isn't something you perform. It's something you embody. And when you do, her nervous system feels it before her mind can explain it. But even polarity can fade if not managed wisely. Because too much presence without pacing leads to another imbalance. One where your availability becomes routine again. To sustain attraction long-term, a man must master rhythm. The deliberate alternation between closeness and distance, warmth and silence, presence and absence. That's where true control of desire is found. You can love her deeply, but if you love her wrongly, she'll lose respect for you. Every man eventually learns this lesson the hard way. It's not that women don't want care. It's that they want care from a man who hasn't lost himself. The difference sounds small, but it's everything. Because when you start overcaring, texting too often, explaining yourself, seeking reassurance, what you're really communicating is need. And need is the enemy of polarity. So how do you love a woman without becoming another orbit in her emotional solar system? You do it by mastering strategic distance. 1. Care with boundaries, not begging. Real care isn't about availability. It's about intention. You don't drop everything to reply. You finish your purpose first. You don't ask, "Are you okay?" 10 times. You look her in the eyes once and say, "You seem off. I'm here when you're ready to talk." Boundaries make care believable. Because love without limits feels like pressure, and pressure kills attraction faster than neglect ever could. 2. Give less, mean more. Men often believe consistency equals security. But in the psychology of attraction, variability equals excitement. The brain's reward system thrives on unpredictability, not chaos, but rhythm. A mix of closeness and space. Moments where you pull her in, followed by moments you return to your mission. When she feels that rhythm, she feels safe and intrigued. It's the dance between reassurance and mystery, the formula for sustained desire. 3. Speak from depth, not volume. You don't win her with words, you win her with weight. Men who over-explain their feelings dilute their impact. Instead of long confessions, drop truth bombs. Simple, grounded statements that come from calm conviction. I care about you, but I don't chase confusion. I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to be real. I'd rather be respected than adored. Every sentence you say from center reawakens the tension between certainty and mystery. 4. Reinforce her desire, not her doubt. When she pulls away, your instinct is to chase. Don't. Let distance do its work, because every moment you don't chase, she feels the weight of your absence. It's reverse psychology at its truest level. When you stop trying to make her feel something, she starts feeling it on her own. Your restraint becomes her trigger for curiosity. Your silence becomes the mirror for her longing. 5. Purpose first, relationship second. Every woman tests a man to see what controls him. If her mood or attention can shift your entire energy, she subconsciously loses trust. Because she no longer feels you lead your life, she feels you follow hers. When a man is rooted in purpose, he becomes the calm center in chaos. He doesn't need her to validate his worth. His mission does that. And paradoxically, that's when she feels most drawn to him. Because deep down, every feminine heart craves a man who can't be emotionally conquered. Love her deeply, but never more than you respect your own gravity. In the end, attraction isn't about playing games. It's about embodying polarity with integrity, caring without losing direction, loving without abandoning mystery. She doesn't want a man who chases her emotions. She wants a man whose emotions don't chase her. That's the paradox of male mastery. When you no longer need her to stay, she'll want to. Because desire, at its core, is not about possession. It's about tension held with grace. Real love isn't about holding on. It's about standing so still that even if she walks away, the flame never goes out. Love begins as fire, but only becomes art when you learn to control the burn. Most men either smother the flame by overgiving, overtexting, overanalyzing, or they run from it, terrified of the vulnerability it demands. But the rare man learns the middle path, the philosophy of contained fire, to love without needing, to give without losing, to stay open without falling apart. That's the paradox every man must master if he ever wants peace and love. The nature of fire. Fire is both creation and destruction. It can warm or it can burn. And love is no different. When you attach from fear, your love burns everything, including yourself. But when you love from wholeness, the same flame becomes alchemy. It transforms both of you. The secret is to become the vessel that holds the fire, not the paper that feeds it. Because if you can't hold your own intensity, you'll always confuse her reactions with your identity. The philosophy of contained fire. Here's the truth no one tells you. The woman who pulls away isn't testing your affection. She's testing your containment. She wants to feel your love, yes, but she also wants to feel your center. Your steadiness is her safety. Your restraint is her respect. Your consistency is her clarity. When you stop chasing approval, she stops running from your energy. Because your calm communicates something words never could. You can come and go, but I remain. That's not detachment. That's sovereignty. A story, the man who stayed still. He once begged for her to stay. He texted, he called, he promised change. Every word he said made her feel less attraction. So one day he stopped, not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of realization. He realized his worth didn't decrease because her attention did. He realized he could love her and still love his solitude. He realized his fire could burn quietly, elegantly, even in her absence. Months later, she reached out. Not because he begged, but because she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. His gravity, the psychology behind the flame. When a man can love without grasping, he triggers secure attachment in both himself and others. He embodies emotional maturity, the capacity to hold emotion without reaction. Women sense this instantly. It's not about words or tactics. It's about energy regulation. You're showing her that your nervous system isn't ruled by her validation. And that, more than any declaration of love, makes her feel safe and drawn. Because attraction thrives not on chaos, but on contained intensity. The highest form of love is presence without possession. The final reflection. She pulls away when she feels you've lost yourself. She comes closer when she senses you've found yourself again. The truth is, she was never the lesson. You were. Every withdrawal, every silence, every heartbreak. It was never punishment. It was initiation. Initiation into becoming a man who no longer fears loss. Because he finally understands that love isn't about keeping someone close. It's about keeping your soul intact. Cliffhanger, the next evolution. So, the question is no longer, how do I make her stay? It's, how do I become the kind of man who never loses himself again? And that is the beginning of mastery.